Hi, I don't know if I'm actually gonna turn this into a video, but I have a lot on my mind. I just recently today started at least trying to work on my next major animation project, and a lot of my fears about this are resurfacing again. So I just wanna get it out there. I have always had very high expectations and standards for myself, and I think they have hindered my ability to even start thinking about attempting stuff. It's only hit me somewhat recently that a lot of those standards have come from learning early on what the ceiling of that skill, that quality looks like. I remember back when I was in 5th, 6th grade, I really liked watching Food Network. I really liked watching cooking shows and all of these food personalities turning nothing into something wonderful. And I was so obsessed with watching that stuff that it was pretty much the only thing I watched back in the day. But the strange thing was, when I was obsessed with cooking shows, I have never even attempted to cook anything myself. So watching these shows was pretty much my first impression of what goes on in a chef's mind. Being exposed to that ceiling so early on in my life has made me really scared that if I do start cooking ever, I'm not gonna hit that ceiling. And I know from all of that consumption of cooking shows what can go wrong when you cook a meal and what people look for, and I know I'm not gonna hit the perfection that's been baked into me. I know that's kind of random, but I bring this up because I've noticed that in a very similar way, this is why I am the way I am with YouTube. My introduction and passion for making the videos that I make isn't because I'm passionate about YouTube. I mean, I do like looking at numbers. I like math. I like looking at analytics. But the reason why I make videos actually comes not from videos, but from movies. I was always very fascinated about what made movies click. I knew ever since I started reading Wikipedia at like 4th grade or whatever, critics like different things than what I was drawn into. And instead of saying, oh, it's just because we have different opinions, I've always driven myself to figure out why that was the case. What makes movies click for people and what makes them not work. And that was why, ever since I first was a teenager, I really liked watching movie analysis videos. Over time, I became so engrossed into those types of videos and all of the thoughts into them that analyzing movies is what got me into wanting to make stuff on my own. At the time, I knew that my scale was not movie level yet. So I told myself I would use YouTube as a medium of practice. I would still have the same intentions with my work as I would whenever making a movie, but I would do it at an individual scale. I would do all the work. It would be more personal stories told in first person. This is really shaped me. The more I talk to other YouTubers, I've learned a lot of other creators have their own perceptions of what makes a video click, and not that they're wrong. I do really like hearing their perspectives because of how wildly different they are to mine. But that's just it. They're so different to mine because most people treat YouTube as YouTube. It's a valid art form, but there are different ideas associated with their qualities. There's a different kind of ceiling of how good a video can be. And I never gave myself those preconceived notions. I never told myself this is what a YouTube video should be and this is how good it can be. I've always compared my work and my standards of where I want my work to be to movies. And the thing I've learned from all of these movie analysis videos that really sets the difference between how I interpret videos and how other people interpret videos videos is that I know that every tiny element has meaning. Costumes have meaning. Different musical motifs have meaning. The way you move the camera has meaning. Different types of exposition has meaning. There's just a whole bunch of things that contribute to what you truly feel after you walk out of the theater. And a lot of other creators would think that tiny individual elements like that aren't as important and you don't need to think about them. But I know from holding myself to this much of a standard and having those types of mediums as my foundation that the story is much deeper than that. And so getting myself to create and truly feel like what I will make is something to be proud of is way harder. Ultimately, I want to be proud of myself whenever I create any piece of art. When I want to make a video, the goal isn't to get views, it's to feel like I truly pushed myself, that I am happy with the message and the emotions that I've conveyed through my work. And at the same time, I know it's possible that decisions that I do, tiny individual decisions, can add up to where either my video is meaningless or my video conveys the wrong message. And I know this because movies do that. People don't hold movies to a YouTube video standard. If something is off, movies do not have the excuse of, oh, it was just made by one person. What was wrong in the end. And I know all of these pitfalls that I can hurl myself into if I make a wrong decision. And so all of this knowledge has been baked into me because of what I've susceptible myself to as a teeny little kid. And now I'm at the point where I'm sort of overexerting myself. Like, I tell people that I know no matter what I make, as long as it's in my current style and I fill in all the boxes of what a Pig Sheffer video should be, the reception to my video will probably be positive. People will like my art, people will like my stories, no matter how I tell them or how I draw my work or how I edit it. And for a lot of people, maybe that's the end goal. But I can't help but feel like all of the media that I've consumed shaping my holistic sense of quality of a work is definitely true. And I want to hold myself up to that standard now. And it's a little weird because I don't even know who I'm satisfying besides myself when putting myself through this standard. I don't know if I've told this to anyone, but I feel like I'm in a really weird limbo state in regards to my work and how other people view it. Like, again, I'm a YouTuber that has his entire sense of quality based off of movies. I'm a YouTuber and cinema person just rolled into one in a very symbiotic way. Not in separate ways, they mesh with each other. And for YouTube people, that makes me look like I'm way too cinematic to succeed, but for my cinema friends, I look too YouTubey for them to think that I'll succeed. So really, by doing this, I feel like I'm setting myself up to where nobody thinks that I have a high ceiling of success. I think a lot of people just think I'm a bumbling buffoon, and maybe they're right. And I wish I could change their mind and truly connect with the community, but again, that's not really what's important. What's important to me is that I feel proud of myself, and it is quite hard being me to satisfy that part of myself who has all of these standards, and I still feel like I haven't lived up to them. I spent 3 years, 1,000 hours plus on one of my animation videos, If Life Was Meant with a Friend. And I think I did a lot of stuff right with that, especially in the film sense. A lot of the messaging of that video was very subtle, not in like a horror game lore way, not in like an ARG way, but in like a cinematic way, in like a put these motifs together sort of way, you know? But at the same time, I look at that video and think I could have executed that better. I could have made it more satisfying. I could have made it more understandable. And there's all of these things that are just in my mind that I'm telling myself. And again, that was 3 years, 1,000 plus hours of work. And still, I can't truly say I'm satisfied. So now I want to feel even more satisfied with my future work. And so what do you think that will take? 1,000 hours wasn't enough. Maybe I can make something better in even less time, but maybe not. What will the future hold for me? Will I take 2,000 hours on a video? Will people still think I'm too cinema to be a YouTuber or too YouTuber to be a cinema student? I don't know. Maybe I'm rambling, but I just want to be a good artist. I don't want to be an artist that is like the common denominator satisfies everyone. I want to be an artist that has an artistic goal and and succeeds in that artistic goal. And my artistic goal is coming to terms with a lot of my problems in life through art. And I can't come to terms with it if ultimately what I make doesn't have any meaning. Because if that's the case, if I do make something meaningless, then in a way, I guess that makes my problems meaningless too. And that's not what I want myself or anybody else to think. But yeah, I guess that's my ramble. It is kind of late. It's almost 1 a.m. I just had this idea in my mind. I don't know if I'm gonna turn this into a video. Maybe I will. I don't know. That'd probably make me procrastinate on writing the video even more. But yeah, that's my voice memo. If this does get turned into a video, I hope you enjoyed hearing me talk about this. I know I talk about art stuff a lot, ramble about these sorts of things kind of frequently, but I wouldn't be rambling about it if this wasn't so important to me. I have my priorities so straight, right guys? Anyways, yeah. Take care. See y'all.